A warm greetings to all of you who have joined for this webinar today. And we are really thankful after a hard day's work, all of you have tuned to our webinar and decided to learn for another hour with us. On behalf of REVA University and REVA Academy for Corporate Excellence, I am Dr. Shinu Abi, taking you through this very interesting, exciting webinar on AI ML disruption, the new normal. Today's webinar will be led by one of our favorite mentor who has been part of our programs and been a great support, Mr. Rajiv Bhattacharya. He is a global leader, data and analytics. He's in the strategic sourcing and procurement division at Cargill. So, REVA University is a very young, dynamic, growing university located in the north part of Bangalore in Karnataka and hosting about 15,000 students who is going through about 70 plus UG, PG courses and PhD programs. And we have a very strong, dedicated set of faculty, non-teaching staff and recently REVA University has been bagging a lot of ranks and awards because of the committed focus and dedications led by our Honorable Chancellor Dr. P. Shamaraju and the entire management as well as the teaching and non-teaching staff. So I would request those who are new to our university, please look up on us at reva.edu.in to know more about our programs. We have a range of programs, mainly engineering to science and technology, commerce and management and other areas. We represent REVA Academy for Corporate Excellence. This is a small entity within REVA University, which is specializing in corporate programs. That means we train working professionals and corporates on emerging technology programs. Every year we train about 1,000 plus industry professionals on various skills and especially on their career transitions into these emerging technologies. We have a very dedicated ecosystem which is comprising of various industry partners for certifications or skilling. Plus we have 50 plus very senior industry leaders who are not just our trainers but our mentors, who is including Rajiv Bhattacharya, who has been helping us to strengthen our programs and improving our the delivery as well as the placement opportunities for our participants. We have currently about 100 plus companies as our hiring partners, and our program, maybe we'll also take you through that little later, but our whole program is experiential with a lot of industry grade capstone project centric, research centric programs. And in terms of the program portfolio, that we have a series of programs specially designed for working professionals, ranging from postgraduate programs, could be masters, MTech, MBA, or PG diplomas in AI, or analytics, or it could be cybersecurity or cloud architecture kind of programs. And we also have customized niche programs which we designed for companies. Our corporate training center is some of the state of the art in the country itself. We have a dedicated security operations center to very technologically advanced labs with live streaming facilities and multiple touch points where today's digital workforce can be connected while skilling on real-time learnings on labs as well as to the classes. So let me now introduce our speaker and the leader of this session, Mr. Rajiv Bhattacharya. He has been, again, as I mentioned, that he's been from our beginning of our program. He has seen the growth of our programs and been a great supporter. He's a very seasoned analytics professional. He comes from analytics, data science, big data, data warehousing, RPA background with 16 plus years of experience of deploying these solutions to real-time projects across domains, across countries, and across the clients. He has been a very avid speaker, writer, author, I remember him writing the red books of Watson Analytics when he was with IBM, part of the cognitive analytics team. So therefore, he has been a very, very passionate techno-functional leader, and we are so glad that today he's been designated as global leader and leads the data and analytics projects for Cargill. So Rajiv is going to talk about the great opportunities AI today opens to all of us, and none of us are spared. So that means the only way to stay in the AI game is to get skilled and upskilled, and kind of opportunities Rajiv is going to talk. He will talk about, say, about 40 plus minutes. And over to you, Rajiv, looking for a very, very exciting and engaging session.
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Shinu, and the REVA team for this opportunity to speak here. So I think is uh, one of the best courses or programs that I had the privilege of getting connected to. So my name is Rajib. As Dr. Shinu already introduced me, I lead the data analytics practice, like the data analytics for a business function within Cargill. So now coming to the AI disruption, AI ML disruption is something which has been there for, I'd say, the last 5 years, maybe has been there for long actually, but we have seen it for the past 5 years. And today we are seeing it disrupting multiple industries that it has already done. I'll talk about some business models over here, which you will see that you already know about it, but we do not actually take a look at the back end, or we might not be thinking in this way. Okay, I'll come out with some examples like that, but I think the more important thing is there, like AI ML is something which is I'd say getting matured right now. And if you look at the Gartner chart of emerging technologies about 5 years ago, the self-service analytics used to be on top, right? And that's where the whole bubble started. And now what is happening is we are getting into AI and ML is getting into different businesses, and there is a plethora of use cases of which you can explore. We'll go over some use cases as well, but just to start, let's say world's largest taxi company, right? Without any doubt, people know that it's Uber, right? So now if you take an Uber ride, have you ever thought that where is this car coming from? Is this owned by Uber? No, that's not the fact. So Uber doesn't own the cars it supplies, right? So you go to the Uber app, you book a cab, it comes to your doorstep, you go to your destination, travel to your destination, you make a payment, and you're done. So you're basically renting a car. You are getting connected with the driver through Uber. It's sending the car. You're completing your journey. You're making your payment. Everything's seamless. But Uber doesn't own that car. Okay. Now coming to the accommodation industry, where if you're going for your vacations or staycations, you must have heard of something called Airbnb, right? The largest accommodation company in the world, which is providing different types of service apartments to um, single room accommodations, a lot of stuff. But the point here is, uh, does Airbnb own those real estates or those locations where you visit to through Airbnb? No. So they are basically connecting the customers with the vendors, the people who are renting out their rooms with the people uh, who want to stay there. Basically, that's what they're doing. So they are connecting the dots between the vendors and the customers. That's the most important thing. And they have created robust business models around it without investing in accommodation even. Okay, so they haven't invested in real estate, but they are into real estate business. That's what I'm trying to say. So Let's come to world's largest retailers or e-tailers. Something like Amazon or Alibaba will come to mind, right? Uh, they hardly carry any inventory with them. Amazon definitely carries because Amazon comes with some of the products, but that's not even 2 to 3% of what Amazon sells, right? So what they have is they have large warehouses where vendors can stack up their products, and when you order, it can get shipped to your location. But Amazon doesn't own that product. They are again connecting the dots between the vendors and the customers. So their algorithms, the AI ML algorithms underneath are doing the trick. Okay, another robust business model. Now, on today's day, there are like might not be anybody in this call who doesn't use Amazon or Flipkart per se to buy some products, right? It has become the new normal. But the point here is, do you remember when you created your Amazon account? When you logged in for the first time, you went through some products, whether you bought or you haven't bought, you have added something to your wish list, you came out. Next day, you logged back in and you see Amazon is recommending you products. How does it do that? So it has already, there is something called customer segmentation, customer profiling, right? So it has already done that for you. It has put you in a bracket with other customers based on your search history or the minimal purchase patterns that it has seen. Okay. And it is trying to find out, it has already found out actually what you have bought, but the people in the same category haven't bought. What other people have bought, you haven't bought. That's how recommendation comes in, right? So that's that's again a part of the whole AI journey. We'll come to various portions of AI shortly, where I'll take you through different segments of AI, where you'll realize that ML is, of course, a part of AI, probably the biggest part, and like there is the way it's spoken these days that AI and ML is similar. It's actually not. ML is a subset of the whole AI. Okay, it's a part of the AI journey, of course. Now, coming to the last one, the world's biggest social media company. Everybody knows without doubt it's Facebook, right? Now, how much content in Facebook does Facebook own? Very minimal, practically nothing. Maybe some legal terms over there, some security documentations, but not much more. Everything there belongs to the people who are logging in. Even you'll see people selling things over Facebook. So that's another business model where they are standing up the whole platform, and they are basically when you connect it with your phone and you sync your Google accounts, uh, the next day you start to see that the Google the people who have whose contact you have saved, uh, they will say that you have logged in. He has an account in Facebook. Do you want to connect to him? So that's another type of recommendation that Facebook does. So it's again the I'd say a similar use case wrapped in a different industry, right? So it's used to say that you see all these four examples, but what you don't see that there is something called a Mr. Algorithm sitting in between, which is your AI/ML algorithm, which is the guiding force across all of these business models, which joins the dots between your customers and vendors. That's why this slide is super important for you to understand that there are plethora of opportunities. This is just the tip of the iceberg, these four use cases, but there are many more. Okay. So, okay. But we have seen the use cases, right? We have spoken about four use cases. We'll speak about more, but how to go there? How to climb up the AI ladder. Okay, so on the left hand side, what you see is called a DIKW pyramid. A classic DIKW pyramid is a part. It will definitely be a part of your course in management information systems or business intelligence or analytics today, which has 4 layers: data, actionable data which comes into information, then you have knowledge, and then you have wisdom. These are the 4 key pillars of the pyramid. But if we come to the AI ladder, it's very similar. So you see data at the bottom, data and IA. I'll not come to IA right now. Let's get into analytics. Then once you have your data set, then you go to analytics, you go to ML, and you go to AI. Now, what is IA? IA is your information architecture, which means your data warehouse, your data lakes, your databases, everything counts. So basically what you are doing is, if you are standing up your data lake or data warehouse, in terms you're helping the company to grow towards analytics, like to travel in this analytics journey, So ML cannot be applied on a unstructured data set. You need to first put it into structure. You need to first save that information, bring some structure to it. And then along with that comes analytics. So you start with your descriptive analytics, your diagnostic analytics, maybe some predictions, getting into the predictive zone. And then you start with ML. And finally, you become an AI enabled organization. So that is the AI ladder. What we say in the industry is there is no AI without IA. AI is artificial intelligence and IA is information architecture, which is the key here. Unless you set your data, you are not going to get into your AI journey. There are some use cases which you can explore, which can be done with unstructured data sets as well. There are, I won't say won't say that there are none, but that will be less than 5%. Rest of the 95% has to be done on top of your data set and your IA, basically. Okay. So you see different branches of AI over here, right? There is machine learning, there is NLP, there is expert systems, speech, planning, robotics, and everything is a part of AI. Though we use AI ML as the same as one term today, AI is not equal to ML. Okay, AI is greater than ML. That's what you need to understand. ML is a branch of AI where you can see deep learning, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and you have a lot more over there. You have NLP, which has different sections because it's all about natural language processing. So a lot of textual stuff that you will see: content extraction, classification, machine translation, question answering, text generation, etc. There are expert systems. There is vision. Vision has a lot of use cases in there. Talk about 5-star hotels. They have huge ballrooms where you have number of tables, and like they run short of resources when basically the waiters have to go through every table and see if the spoons and forks are arranged or the napkin is there. So if the plate is arranged in the proper order. If somebody has to do that for 1,000 tables, you can understand what manual effort it will take. But if we can incorporate something like machine vision, where there is a camera and it can take snaps of all the tables, and it knows which one is a good table, which is properly set, and which one is a bad table, which is not, then it solves half of your problems, because it tells you that, hey, Mr. Waiter, table number 43 is not arranged correctly. Can you go there? So you go to table number 43, you arrange it properly, and it moves out of the list, and then comes the next one. That way, it reduces a lot of manual effort. So what AI does is it lets you do your job better. So that's why there is a common term that we use in the industry. it could be, it is artificial intelligence, but it can also be called augmented intelligence, which is it's actually helping people, machines actually helping people to they do their job better. Okay. Coming to the last section where we have planning, where we have robotics, these are also different branches of AI. Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of this quote where it says that in God we trust, all others must bring data, which is actually the data story. Unless you have data, you cannot actually climb up your AI ladder. So you can see that here are some examples. So oil and gas, we'll take off. Let's talk about a typical facility, could be upstream or downstream. There will be at least 80,000 sensors, which will produce 15 terabytes of data every day. Considering that you have implemented IoT end to end, you have sensors everywhere, you will have closely 80,000 sensors. If you are running an upstream or downstream operation. Okay, so and if it generates 15 terabytes of data, you will first have to think about how to store that data and then analyze the data. Okay, coming to public safety, 520 terabytes of data are produced by New York City's traffic cameras every day. Okay, energy and utilities, 680 plus million smart meters will produce 280 petabytes of data in 2017. So that is 4 years away. It has actually moved a lot by this time. Healthcare, the equivalent of 300 million books of health related data is produced by per human in a lifetime. So you can understand that we are in a world where we have the data, right? But the most important thing is to put this data into structure and then start analyzing it. Data and IEA, analytics, ML, and then AI. Remember that. Okay, so here are some other examples. So data is everywhere, which is good. Again, getting into smartphones. The smartphones smartphones or laptops. There's a lot of data over there as well. 80% of the data, what we call today as dark data, or the unstructured data which we are tapping into, which we didn't even know that it existed 10 years ago. Okay, so what we had been playing with the data silos that we have within companies, right, within organizations over the internet, which is completely structured. But the dark data or the unstructured data that we talk about, which is your Facebook feeds, your Twitter feeds, and lots of images, lots of videos, all of that you bring, if you bring in everything, you can see some examples over there, social media channels, news feeds, emails, journals, blogs, everything. If you add that up, it actually comprises of 80% of the data, right? 80% of the entire data set in the world, which is huge. And it's actually progressing in a mind-boggling speed. It's actually growing in a huge speed. So yeah, so dark data, unstructured data, and then there is this 20%, which we always talk about, which is put in structure. Some other examples, data and analytics challenges. Turn 12 terabytes of tweets created every day into improved sentiment analysis. Huge, like this is a huge challenge where you have to store this data and you have to provide analytics at real time, right? Say some celebrity, any celebrity in the world posts a tweet. In a minute, there are 10,000 retweets. If you want to measure this celebrity's fan base, and then you try to do a basic sentiment analysis on top of the tweets, or retweets that you see over there. You want to find out which are positive, which are negative, which are neutral, which are false positive, which are false negative. What you need to do is you need to store the data first and then analyze it at real time. So you can understand that it's just like a mini project that you are running just to analyze one tweet. So convert 350 billion annual meter readings to predict power consumption better. So there are old buildings, right, where you have like the power consumption is more because the wirings are old. It's not, I'd say it's not optimized, it's not tuned. So what happens is they can, is, uh, like there is a huge consumption over there as well. And if you want to optimize, because you have a definite supply, right? So if the point of getting into smart meters is just not not only about measuring it, but getting into a zone where you can tell the subscriber that you can actually optimize, right? Like there is a similar case, there is a similar building in your neighborhood which uses similar appliances that you do, but they have a minimal power consumption and you have a huge spike in there. So it's something that you must look into that can be added to uh, the the electricity bills. The customers will be happy that you are basically giving them inputs in the ideal world, of course. So now scrutinize 5 million trade events created each day to identify potential fraud, which is again a huge task. And you, like if you're talking about AML systems, which are anti-money laundering systems, you'll know that how many false alerts, if you have been associated in BFSI, you know this zone, you'll know that there are so many false alerts which come in these tools. It's a classic case of applying your ML models and then sharpening it over the years. Okay. Um, Analyze 500 million daily call detail records or CDRs in real time to predict customer churn faster. Customer churn is the first use case that we talk about in telco, but most of the telco or like telecommunications companies or providers have actually implemented these, but over the years they are improving it day by day. They are adding more parameters to it. Okay, they are understanding the customer better. They're predicting the churn better now. So AI and ML doesn't happen overnight, right? So you have to give it some time to get matured. It's basically the mathematics behind your trends and patterns, right? And it's a program which will get trained over time. It will get trained automatically, but you need to give it more data. So it's not going to happen overnight. You need to give it more and more examples where it learns and sharpens its skills, just like a human being. Okay, getting into the next slide where we talk about 4 types of analytics, right? Descriptive, which basically tells you what's happening in my business. So it's a what question. Then getting into diagnostic, what is actually happening, or I'd say what is the root cause. So first one is what is the difference between the first one and the second one, descriptive and diagnostic. Descriptive just shows you numbers, product sales, product category A, month of June. Next one says there is a dip in Q2. Can I find out the root cause? That is diagnostic. Coming to predictive, when it starts predicting what will happen in the next quarter, how it will look. Prescriptive, what do you have to do? So it's basically like there are four or five things that you can do, but which one is most favorable for the business you are running? That's the prescriptive one. So these are the 4 types of analytics, and there is a cognitive piece as well, which will this is the cognitive slide actually, where we talk about the concept called cognition. Okay, so what is cognitive? Cognitive is the act of thinking. So the generation of AI over the years, the evolution has always been associated with mimicking a human being. You think about speech. Okay, so there is text to speech and speech to text. The vision, there are n number of computer vision use cases, right? So There are n number of use cases in cybersecurity surveillance as well in that zone. So this is the whole concept of cognition, where we say the act of thinking. Your AI and ML program will start thinking like a human being and provide you actionable insights. That's the ultimate goal. And it's actually getting into hearing, smell, sight, those, all that sort of stuff. If AI could do it, uh, that's that's how slowly it's improving basically. So what I'd say is, in terms of sight, there are obvious use cases. If you talk about thinking, this is the portion where we say that a cognitive system should be able to think and find out what is best for your business. Okay, how you can optimize your revenue. Yeah, cognitive systems are about exploring the data, finding new correlations. So you knew that parameters A and B can predict parameters C, like say A and B can predict C, but you never knew that A, B, and D can predict C better. So once you start exploring and finding new correlations, this becomes a fact. Okay, discovering details about existing correlations, that's what I was saying, and then finding new context in data and providing new solutions. That's what cognitive systems do. It's not like it tries to remove the bias, because when we see data, we start thinking in a different, we might have had our experience. So we try to merge data and experience together. Obviously that will be there, but it tries to give you suggestions as well. Okay, the actions you may take, and you can choose the best one, which you think is suitable for your business. So the concept is always like putting the right data in front of the right people at the right time so that they can take the right decisions. That's the key here. Okay, so coming to cognitive systems, uh, human beings excel at common sense, morals, imagination, uh, compassion, abstraction, dilemmas, dreaming, generalization. And what cognitive systems excel at? Locating knowledge, pattern identification, natural language, machine learning, eliminating the bias, endless capacity. So if you ask a human being to do the same stuff in Excel over and over, he gets bored. But the cognitive system doesn't get bored. Okay, so it's a machine ultimately. So it's a program. It will keep on doing it, and it will help you to do your job better. So that's the main goal here. Okay, so this is the point that I had briefly touched upon in the previous a previous discussion probably. So AI, artificial or augmented, is debatable. But what is augmented intelligence? Augmented intelligence means this is where the human beings and the machines, your AI ML programs per se, work together, and your AI ML programs let you do your job better. So it's not actually earlier we used to think, when I studied artificial intelligence for the first time, we used to know about a big supercomputer which is having a lot of health information and can predict, can understand your symptoms and can start giving you a prescription. So that was the concept of AI, I'd say 15 years back. But it has changed over time. Today is not about replacing human beings. It's about working with them and let them do their job better. So that's what AI is. That's what ML is. Okay, so the focus on building practical AI applications that assist people with well-defined tasks, and in the process, these are basically very helpful for the people who struggle in doing mundane jobs day in and day out. If you take that portion out, that is automated, and you can start giving feeds on top of that, that person's life becomes easier. He doesn't have to get into tons of data and do his analysis and come back. Somebody else's, I'm saying the program is doing it for him and giving him feeds that this is what you should do. On top of this, I'm basically finding out I'm being able to classify for you that this is important, this is not important. Say, let's take the case of AML, right? Anti-money laundering, where it can basically recognize the pattern and tell you that these are less important and these are high important cases where you should look into. Your job becomes easy, right? You can directly start looking into 10 instead of 30. Okay, now let's get into the use cases. Okay, the use cases for telecommunications. So we already know about churn prediction. We have discussed a lot in churn prediction. So there is improving customer satisfaction, combating fraud, and maintaining standards of services, where you can actually leverage a lot of things. You can standardize the messages using chatbots. You can use your algorithms to parse data, NLP to parse data. You can find network congestion at a higher speed and basically reach out with the team to the teams with solutions. A lot of stuff can be done over there. So telco and BFSI will have, any telco or any BFSI had like these two industries had been early adopters of AI and ML, and you will find a lot of matured use cases in here. So here you will see a lot of digital assistants where you want to pay your credit card bill, you want to set up an appointment with the representative at the bank. You can even do that over a chatbot. You can take a digital assistant and set it like just get it done within minutes. Okay, you have risk management, you have fraud management. AML example basically ties up over here. So this is not all. There are multiple use cases even in these industries, which we are not touching upon. Our time doesn't permit us, but believe me, AI ML use cases are like so popular that in every industry you'll have so many use cases. You can talk about those for days. Okay, so let's okay. Let's talk about one small example, which I think is the best cross-selling example that I've ever heard. Okay, let's take, okay, we'll talk about it in retail. Okay, we come to supply chain, where we have operational procurement, we have supply chain planning, we have supplier selection. So when you are basically giving an order to a supplier in today's world, where we have we have to think about the pandemic as well. The tool can easily interpret and tell you that this might be your best supplier, but currently there uh, are some bottlenecks to get it delivered from this suppliers, because these are the areas where things are not getting delivered. So shift to supplier B instead of your first choice. So these are actually the use cases where you are tying it up with the geospatial information, with the weather information, with all the news, and basically giving you letting you do your better experience. 10 years ago, you had to do it manually. You couldn't even have thought about these enormous data sets, getting into it and providing solutions. So about retail. So next best offer, we all know. Customer segmentation, there had been a lot of discussion on customer segmentation, how to do it better. Everybody does it in a different manner. People try to create customer profiles with the data, with the purchase history that they have already. Along with that, they try to get some social media feeds also in, maybe 10% stress on social media and 90% on what you have in terms of purchasing patterns for the customer. Personalized product recommendations. So that is, personalized product recommendations is nothing but cross-selling, right? Or maybe upselling. Next best offer actually categorizes as upselling. So now the point is, the best cross-selling example that I've ever heard is, let's consider somebody like Walmart, who had been pioneers in this. So there used to be a use case, like whenever there was US suffers from a uh, lot of thunderstorms, right? Every year. So and during this, there has to be some sort of planning. So what usually used to happen is there will be fathers who will go for shopping at Walmart just before a thunderstorm, and the first thing they will buy are diapers, okay, for the kids. So once they go for that, the next thing they will do is they will go and buy beers as well. So what Walmart did is just amazing. They had stacked like the next section after diapers will be beers. That's what they did. This is nothing but cross selling. You are basically analyzing purchase patterns, and you are um, putting these things together so that you are selling more at the end of the day. So it's I'd say this is the best example I've heard ever for cross selling. So insurance, multiple use cases in insurance, there is no end to it, but some top ones would be customer profiling, which is very important. Identifying your A, B, C level of customers, churn prediction, who is going to move out from this insurance and probably go for something else. The claims hasn't been super efficient with us, something of that sort. Uh, Lead generation, marketing automation can be another use case as well. So these are the top use cases that are there for insurance. Okay, so I've seen cases where basically you send an email saying that, hey, I need a copy of my say the insurance policy. You have lost it, you have misplaced it. I just need a copy. So and there is a bot sitting behind. It basically identifies, it reads your email, it understands that you are requesting for uh, the the copy of your policy, and it sees your email ID. It finds out who you are, searches the database, finds the policy copy, and sends it back to you. There is no human intervention in there. So there are solutions which I'm aware of a company has built, and they are like one of the leading insurance providers in India uses that. Okay, so that's it. Those are the use cases I wanted to cover. So we can quickly jump into Q&A. We have some time for that, and then we can wrap it up. Yeah.
Thanks, Rajiv. I think in a short span of time, you have moved from the process to use cases across at least 6 to 7 industries. And I was fascinated by the challenges that you have posed. How do we deal with such petabytes of data on real time and give back the business decisions inputs on real time? I think the life of an AI engineer or a business analyst or a machine learning engineer needs to be, I mean, going to be much more challenging, right? So we thank you again, and we have curated some of the questions which has come in through various streams. Request all of you to please put your questions if you have. So the first question, Rajiv, is that most of the models in AI are black box models. So how do we trust these results generated by such AI models? And the second part of the same question is that how do we add explainability to these black box models?
Yeah. So this is I'd say a fact, because if you're talking about a black box model, you basically today you have machine learning models available for rent. Basically, you can purchase it from somebody and start using it. So it might be having a number of use cases that they have explored, but it's also a fact that they are also trying to learn from you. So what happens is when you are implementing one, if you have to deploy it quickly, what is generally done in the industry, we take a pre-cooked model, and there are companies who make it available. Even if you go to AWS platform, you'll find that there are machine learning models which are available, which you can just take, subscribe to that machine learning model, and you have to provide the data in the fashion that they are requesting for, and it will start providing outputs, and the deployment time will be super fast. In 2 or 3 weeks, you will deploy a machine learning model. But is that the end? No. Every company needs some set of customization, right? Like nobody can predefine or a black box solution can basically cater to a company's needs. So there is something called a generic model and there is something called a customized model. So when you have seen this and it starts getting the examples from your data, it learns more, it gets customized over time. There you might have to do some tweaks and redeploy even. So there should be some human expertise also at the back end if required. That generally happens for the in-house models, doesn't happen for the models which are taken like I'd say just subscribe to. But once you give it more examples, it will learn over time. It will, firstly, it will not be a fit for your use case, but slowly it will become. So if you are talking about ROI from any machine learning project, whether it's in-house or it's externally taken, it would at least take 1 to 2 quarters. That's what I have seen.
Okay, thanks. Just to add, there are multiple new frameworks also coming in building explainability in AI models, and some of the sectors actually prefer, say, healthcare or finance. They prefer explainable AI models, and there are frameworks. And if you really look around or maybe listen to some of our sessions themselves, we had discussed this in length. Okay, so the second question, Rajiv, is that do you have or have you come across any instances where AI or robots go out of human control? If yes, how? I mean, in which conditions that this is happening?
Okay. So, to be fair, I'd say I haven't come across anything like that, because I think if you, like this comes to me as a case when you are asking a lot more than what is required from the AI or machine learning program that you are wishing for. So what we generally do in the industry is we say that AI ML is not like any other software project. So there has to be couple of business use cases which you need to put in the first rollout, and then see the adoption and gradually improve over time. So usually what I can think of where I have seen problems is when you are thinking that you can achieve a lot only if you go for AI and ML. It's not. I have seen in half of the cases when you start with AI ML, you don't have the data ready. So I think for that matter should go slow. That will help you to improve over time. But to be precise, I haven't seen any such example.
I think they must be fascinated by the stories on AI going rogue, start writing or maybe changing the statements and say in a chatbots and all that.
Yeah.
So it's a
Chatbots is a different case. I'd say that it's though it's a part of AI dialogues, but it's not exactly. I won't call it a business case, but it comes from what they have learned over time as well. It depends on what it has been taught, how much testing has been done as well, and how much. Yes, I think there was some news about chatbots going rogue as well, but I think it was sorted over time and it got fixed sooner than later.
yes, yes. In fact, Dr. Simha, who is our chief mentor, says plug off the power, all the rogueness will stop. Anyway, so the question, another question is that suppose you have hardly any data and it's a completely new use case, and then you have to, it's like say a cold start problem in e-commerce where the product is new or the context is very new. So how do you start applying?
Mm, good one. So here, generally, I'd say that you need to let your data get matured. Unless you are getting into the analytic zone, you shouldn't even jump into the AI ML problems. But definitely, if you are thinking of it, maybe if you have 3 months of data, you can start. But if it's a very new product, of course, you can take some generic business models which you are using for similar products, but it might not be 100% successful. You have to keep that in mind because it might not be a good fit for this particular product which you are launching right now.
Okay, yeah. So another, maybe the last question in this series, because we are getting questions on the courses as well. So I would take that a little later. But the question to Rajiv is, what are the things AI cannot do?
Yeah.
Can't do means what you have discussed is what AI can do. The
What
question.
AI can't do? Interesting question. It cannot streamline your data set, of course. You have to still do it manually. You have to set up the data manually. So unless you do that, you cannot get into the AI zone. But we are seeing use cases where we didn't even think of AI 5 to 10 years ago. Uh, but obviously, a human being is a human being, and the entire thought process and the experiences are different. So I'd say that AI is AI is something which you can use as a tool, um, but obviously it will help you doing your job, but it might not be the Bible at the end. That's why human intervention is required and improve it over time.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I think there are so many things that which AI can kind of empower us, but then we are beyond. We are our human creativity and ingenious is something beyond that, very difficult to capture. Okay, so as a next step, as an immediate translation of what Rajiv just mentioned, we would also want to create an awareness about the kind of programs that we do at REVA Academy for Corporate Excellence for working professionals. We have a direct set of master's program, 1 year to 2 years for working professionals during weekends. One is an artificial intelligence MTech or MSc program where we develop these technical skills. So starting from, as Rajiv mentioned, extracting the data and developing that the data architecture itself, and moving on to analyzing the data, building machine learning models or deep learning models, and building AI systems. The technical skills, if if uh, if you think that that is the way that you want to take your career to the next level, this program is a right fit because we will be covering the depth and breadth of AI applications through this program. It's a very practically oriented, industry grade, projects based, research based program, and with multiple industry partners and certifications. So please do look at some of these programs in our website to get to know more. So this program is typically a trimester level, fast forward, fast moving program with moving from the basics to very advanced, creating interdisciplinary AI systems covering the various tenets in terms of, say, video projects or text-based projects, and at the end of it you would specialize in one or two areas because of the projects that you would get onto. So please do look at the programs in the in the website. And parallelly, another very interesting program which is ranked very high in India. We are ranked second in India by Analytics in India magazine. This is a direct translation of MLAI applications in business centric. That means if a contextually a business problem is being set, how would you use? Like Rajiv mentioned, creating a recommendation system is one, but using recommendation system to identify the right customer profile and putting up into a business context and improving your revenue using recommendation system is another skill. So in an MBA business analytics program is a real new age MBA, not a functional conventional MBA where we teach a lot of theory and concepts and functions, but skill wise or data driven skill wise it is very limited. Here we would start with looking at business in the form of data, and then how do you take business decisions. So here also the focus is slightly different. This is also a trimester program, but the focus is most on, as Rajiv mentioned, that how do you apply machine learning or AI applications from ground up in supply chain? What are the use cases? How would you build it? It's not talking about it, but actually building it in using the right tool. So we would use about 30 plus tools, give you that entire spectrum of journey of building machine learning models applications and seeing it in real time, how it is adding value to the business. So marketing and retail analytics or financial analytics or supply chain using social media analytics, how would you build either revenue or decrease the cost or improve the process efficiency. That is the purpose of this business analytics program. Both have been extremely popular, as well as we have seen great career transitions when people really commit to these kind of programs. And I think there were questions that if a person with mechanical engineer, I would ask Rajiv also to answer that question. Suppose you do not have the right background, which you say that I come from a non, say a technical background. For MTech AI, we would suggest that it is better that you come from data science background. But for business analytics, it could be a domain background if you have, and then you will be able to convert a business problem into a data problem. But if you have come from a data background and if you do not have domain understanding, then this program fits there as well. So for business analytics MBA program, the prerequisites are not very rigid compared to an MTech AI program. But a person we have seen, in fact, our chief mentor, Dr. JB Sima, we look up to him for his intellectual as well as technical leadership and all that. He's a mechanical engineer, but he has transitioned himself into an AI thought leader. Of course, Rajiv comes from computer science background, so he is not an exception. But then there are many of our mentors who are leading today data science projects for large organizations are coming from chemical engineering background, mechanical engineering background, somebody from a completely domain background, finance background. So it is not exactly a difficult thing to learn, because we would be using both proprietary as well as non-proprietary tools. So it is easier to pick up the skills faster through a non-proprietary tool and then move on to Python based programming. But you will get there, because these are easier languages today. There are packages and libraries you can call in, and what you need is your logical mind, your analytical mind, and a passion to solve business problems, right? So Rajiv, if you have in your team, what kind of diverse team you have? Are they all coming from computer science background, or they come from different
Not
backgrounds?
actually. I have a lot of members coming from supply chain background, some people from commerce background, somebody from finance background as well. The point here is when you start delving into this data and analytics world, it's all about how you can Dr. Sheen spoke about the analytical thinking, right? That's the most important thing over here. How good you are at playing with data, playing with the analytics tools. Once you master that, I don't think the background is going to be a big problem, because I have members within my team who are coming from these backgrounds as well.
Yes, yes. So it's a mental block that we put, and today I think we have democratized AI and analytics, and enough and more courses are also available. If you are still figuring out, please do a quick YouTube video check or something which interests you, and then you can take a full-fledged program. Which would So why a full-fledged program compared to a YouTube video or a free course is that you would get much structured, faster way into analytics. And because of the thought leaders and the mentors that we brought in, we have already failed, and we have our lessons learned. Instead of taking so much of time understanding which program suits me, you will get a ready-made support system here, right? So that is why a regulated program which has worldwide acceptance. We are WS accepted, so you can have global mobility. So do look at some of these programs which can change your life forever and for good, because AI is going to stay here. And today this might be little fancy, but tomorrow it is going to be a very, very important prerequisite for any job, right? Any job. So if you think that you're going to escape the AI wave, I think you would be very soon mistaken. So let us understand how AI can augment my own decision making and get into a structured learning process which would help you to build your career. So here we have listed a few projects that which we do. So for example, we have so our participants get to work on real-time consulting industry grade projects if you are good and if you are committed. So we have a series of projects using natural language processing projects. We have something on completely business oriented. So how do you connect on a business enterprise in functional applications and connecting to the CEO's predicament of increasing the revenue or reducing the cost, right? So there are multiple use cases within each of these areas that which we have built with the help of our mentors, and most of our participants keep working on any of these areas. Another one is because we work very closely with the HR fraternity, we have built a tool itself which can reduce their stress level on checking on the or getting the data into place and start taking decisions. So there are interesting projects and opportunities here at RAISE that which we have put together. And another area is that because we also have an MTech cybersecurity program, and a very good interdisciplinary area if somebody is looking at working in the future is how do we predict security threats using machine learning and AI. Very series of interesting things are happening in that area. So our project, this is our difference compared to anything in the market, that we focus on real hands-on, real industry grade projects where you will get to involve with the client and delivery as part of your your academic work. So this is what we would want to stop at. We have put a set of names here for you to contact, and if there are any questions to Rajiv or us, please do write to us. We have all the contact details. Our reva.edu website is available. But I will take a minute to thank Rajiv for such a illuminating session in about 40-45 minutes, that I'm sure you have inspired all the audience to look at AI as a career and harness this power and build their future. So thank you so much, Rajiv, and we wish you more power, more success, and hope that you will continue mentoring us and give us all the guidance that we need.